Well, millions of people are expected to travel for Labor Day weekend next week, and a new report shows you may be getting a cheaper deal. Though hotel prices in the U.S. have risen slightly from last year, airfare and rental car costs are both down over 10% from 2022. That's according to a new report from Hopper. And Hayley Berg, Hopper Lead Economist, is joining us now to talk through it. So we obviously have seen some moderating prices across the economy. I got to say, I was a little surprised by the moderating prices in airfares in particular because, A, we know there's still a lot of demand, and B, anecdotally, it doesn't feel like those prices have come down. So where is that pressure sort of letting up?
We hear that so often. We're quoting these low prices, but consumers don't feel like they're seeing them. And part of that is some behavioral changes. People are planning trips much more last minute than they did pre-pandemic, meaning they're missing out on some of the best and lowest prices. But domestic prices are really down, driven by the higher supply the airlines are operating at the end of the summer this year, a much earlier peak in summer demand. We saw the majority of folks taking trips in June, July, and early August. So we've entered that low demand period about a week or two earlier than we have in previous years. All of that is going to drive airfare down for Labor Day weekend in particular. Comes at the end of the summer. It's not always the highest demand long weekend of the summer. And that's really why we're seeing about $225 for airfare, down about $75 from what we saw earlier this summer and 4th of July weekend.
It's really interesting. And as we think about travelers getting ready to perhaps make those flights, catch them, some of them might miss them. That's unfortunate. At the same time, the airlines, are they better equipped now at the end of the summer to really deal with the influx, the volume of demand that they're going to see?
I would say airlines every day since really the end of 2021 have been increasingly better equipped, better trained to handle the volume of passengers that we're seeing. There was a huge influx of new hiring in 2022. Those people had to be trained. And it's not just the airlines, it's the airports as well. It's the FAA, air traffic control, TSA. So we had a relatively successful summer. We did not see the incredibly high disruption rates we did in 2022. But it is a fact that disruption rates are higher now than they have been, pre-pandemic. About 25% of flights delayed on departure, between 1% and 2% canceled. That still impacts thousands of passengers a day.
Does it dissuade them from traveling, though, Hayley? I mean, and I take that also with the report that recently came out, I believe, from the New York Times, talking about how many near misses there are because of our air traffic control system. Do we see any kind of hit to traveler sentiment as a result of all of this?
We haven't seen it on the Hopper app. Most of our users are Gen Z, millennial, so they definitely are more focused on travel than some of the older generations have historically been. The most interesting thing we're seeing, though, is that about 1 in 5 of our users are paying extra, a little more than $30 additional to buy a disruption protection product when they check out with their flight. That's something that allows them to rebook for free on the next available flight if they're canceled, delayed, or miss a connection. And that right there shows us that though travelers are price conscious, they continue to check the price of trips many times before they book, they are prepared to pay a little extra for peace of mind in case they are canceled or have a major disruption in their trip.
Are people upgrading, and beyond just buying protection, are they upgrading their experience even after that initial purchase?
We always see travelers upgrading, whether it is selecting seats, moving to a higher cabin class. That's something that's been persistent even since pre-pandemic. If anything, we've seen the airlines start to make some strategic changes to capture more of this premium demand, expanding their premium seat selection spaces, in some cases even removing first class to expand business or premium. So there is definitely a lot of demand for premium out there. But when we poll our users, getting the best price and getting an affordable trip remains their number one priority, even ahead of anything like more legroom.